A very good morning, children. Welcome back to the English online class. Children, in today's class, we are going to start with a new lesson number 6, The 100 Races, Part 2, which is written by L. Besser Esther. In our previous class, we have done lesson number 5 and part 1 of 100 Races 2. So, here is the second part. We'll continue with the same. Let me again introduce to you the main characters of this lesson. The first one is Wenda Petronsky, who was a Polish immigrant. Second is Peggy, the most popular girl in the school. The third one is Maddie. Maddie is Peggy's best friend and she is the books, or you can say the lessons, protagonist. The fourth one is Miss Messin. Miss Messin is the teacher in class or room number 13. So here is the introduction of the 100 Races Part 2. In continuation of the previous lesson, the 100 Races 2 reveals why Wanda Petronsky had not been coming to school. The Petronsky family decided to move to a big city where no one would care about their unfamiliar name. On hearing the note, Maddie and Peggy got anxious as they realized that they would never get a chance for making amends for all the teasing they had done. Both the girls get relieved only on learning that Wenda liked them and had dedicated one of the 100 dresses to each one of them, which were from the drawings. Now, children, let us see the word meaning of this chapter. The first one is cornucopias, which means decorative containers, usually containing flowers and fruits. The second one is picking on someone, which means criticizing someone. Third is to make amends, and the meaning is to show that one is sorry by doing something else. The fourth one is damp and dismal, which means wet and sad, here expressing a state of hopelessness. The fifth one is forbidding, and the meaning is unfriendly or threatening in nature. The sixth one is listen closely, which means listen with attention. So now let us move towards the lesson explanation of the 100 Dresses Part 2. Everyone was having a look at the amazing drawings Wenda had drawn and admiring it when the monitor of the class brought a piece of note for Miss Messin. Miss Messin read that note multiple times as she couldn't believe what was written in it. Finally, she decided to gather the class to read it loud and clear. It was a letter from Wanda Petronsky's dad. She silenced for a while, which created tension in the minds of her students. She adjusted her spectacles, which made it clear how important that note is. She began reading it, and everyone listened carefully. The letter began with a salutation to Miss Messin. Wenda's father conveyed his intention of not sending both of his children, Wenda and Jake, to school anymore. He mentioned that they were shifting to another city, a big one where no one would care enough about their strange name. A big city with a lot of people having weird names. Wenda's classmates thought her name was weird and funny. Wenda was a Polish immigrant to America and thus had an unfamiliar name. After hearing what was there in that letter, everyone was left speechless. Miss Messin, too, was stunned, and thus she cleaned her glasses, wore them again, and spoke to the class in a low voice. She conveyed her disappointment to the class and asked them to ensure her that nothing was done purposefully to hurt Wanda. She gave the children benefit of doubt that everything they did was done unintentionally. She said whatever happened was sad and unfortunate. She advised the students to introspect about it too. Everyone began thinking about what was written in that letter and how each one of them made Wanda feel. In their first period, Maddie couldn't concentrate on her studies as she felt sick for not stopping Peggy at the right time. And she stopped Peggy from playing that dress game with Wanda. Things could have been different. Although Maddie never teased Wanda, but nor did she stop Peggy from doing it, which makes her just as bad or maybe worse. Peggy's intentions were never to hurt Wanda, and she was not aware that her game hurt her feelings. Maddie, on the other hand, was aware of its impact. Yet she stood silent, which made her a coward for not standing against what is wrong. Filled with guilt and regret, Maddie wished for a chance to apologize to Wanda, hoping Peggy would be thinking about Wanda too. She takes a look at Peg, but she was busy studying. Regardless of what Peggy was thinking, Maddie decided to take some action. She hoped Wanda hadn't yet moved away and she could tell her how sorry she was and appreciate her 100 dresses. That day, after the school had ended, Peggy asked Maddie if they could go and check if Wanda has moved or not. Maddie was satisfied at the thought that they both had same plans for apologizing to Wanda. Both of them hurried to Boggins Height, the place where Wanda lived, in order to find her. During this season, the place was the place where Wanda lived in order to find her. During this season, the place was generally wet and the atmosphere was sad and hopeless. Peggy tries to comfort herself by murmuring that at least she didn't call her a foreigner because she was an immigrant. Neither did she make her feel different for having an unfamiliar name. She was always in this delusion that Wanda had no idea that those girls were making fun of her. Above all, Wanda is such a great artist too. Maddie, on the other hand, couldn't say a word. What she hoped for is a chance to confess, make amends, appreciate her, and try to stop her from moving away. In fact, she even thought of conveying her idea to Project Wanda if anyone tried to trouble her in any way. In order to reach the place before night, they hurried. They saw a white little house up there, which they thought was the place where Wanda Petronsky lived. The house and its surroundings were shabby but clean, just like Wanda's worn out blue dress. Thin bunches of grass grew along with the path that led to the house. They resembled thin kittens. No one could be seen around the house. They knocked both at the front and backyard doors, but to their disappointment, there was no answer. Now the Petronskis had gone, and along with them, Maddie and Peggy's last chance to make amends too. In order to comfort herself, Peggy started saying that Wenda must have looked for drawing inspiration only after she started her dresses game. And hadn't she done that, Wenda would have never won the drawing competition. Maddie also tried to convince her after what Peggy said, and that if this is the case, she doesn't have to feel so bad. But later that night, she couldn't sleep as she was thinking constantly about Wenda's little house, her faded blue dress, both shabby but clean, and her glorious 100 dresses that were all lined up in the classroom instead of the closet. Finally, she sat in her bed and started thinking deeply, the hardest she would ever done. She pressed her forehead tight in her hands, which indicated that she was really trying to concentrate. After thinking so much and so deeply, she came to a conclusion that she will always stand against the wrongs and will never say nothing when she has to. She decided that she would never let anyone make fun of others because of their appearance, name, clothes, or where they come from. She would not shy to speak up against Peggy, even if it meant losing her friendship. She could not go in the past to make amends with Wenda, no matter how much she wanted to. But from now on, she is never going to let another person feel embarrassed or unhappy again. On Saturday, both of them sat together and decided to write a letter to Wenda, letting her about the contest, asking her where she is living now and how that place is. No matter how much they wanted to apologize, they couldn't summon the courage to do so, and thus ended up writing a friendly letter as if Wenda was their good friend. They mailed it to Boggins Height with "Please forward" written on it because they didn't know her new address. There was no reply from Wenda, but they didn't also receive the letter back. Thus, they concluded that it must have reached Wenda, but she was so upset that she didn't answer. They waited for weeks, but still no answer. Peggy began to forget about this whole thing while Maddie used to make scenarios in her head before sleeping where she defended Wenda. She thought of scenarios where large group of girls surrounded Wenda and would ask her, "How many dresses have you got?" And as soon as anyone could say more, Wenda would interrupt and say, "Stop," so that all of them could end up ashamed. It was winter season and there was snow everywhere on the ground. Christmas had come. Bells and a small tree. They decorated their class with bells and a small tree. That day, Miss Messin told the students that she had received a letter from Wenda Petronsky. She is very happy to receive it because now she can send her the medal too. The letter began in a very friendly tone. Wenda asked how everyone was, and that they could keep her 100 dresses because in her new house she has another lot of 100 dresses lined up in her closet. She specifically mentioned the dress she wanted Maddie and Peggy to take home. The green dress with red trimmings was for Peggy, while the blue one was for Maddie. She expressed her affection towards Miss Mason and wrote her new teacher could never replace Miss Mason. She winded up the letter by wishing everyone Merry Christmas and also wrote that she missed everyone in room number 30. It was Christmas season and all the houses were decorated. Grocery stores and stocked with Christmas trees, candy, peppermint sticks, and other Christmas stuff. The atmosphere was colorful and joyful. Maddie and Peggy took home the drawings very carefully. When Peggy took home the drawing, realized that this gesture implied that Wenda liked them. They also assumed that she got their letter and everything was peaceful between them. Maddie, on the other hand, was quite sad because she would never be able to see that polished, tight-lipped girl again. She would never get a chance to make amends. As soon as Maddie reached home, she displayed her drawings on that part of the wall from where her pink flowered wallpaper was slightly torn. Maddie's room was shabby too, but the drawings made it lively. She stared at the drawings constantly and thought how nice Wenda had been to them. While staring at the drawing Wenda had given her, Maddie's vision got blurred from tears. She rubbed her eyes and noticed that Wenda had actually drawn Maddie's face along with the dress. The color of the dress were so bright and vibrant that the face was hardly visible. Maddie got excited and ran towards Peggy to check if she had noticed it too. As soon as she reached Peggy's house, she asked her for the picture. The drawing was lying upside down on the bed. Maddie raised it, and yes, it was Peggy in that drawing. Both were left in shock and awe at the same time. Peggy exclaims that she was right about the thought that Wenda liked them. Maddie, whose eyes get filled with tears every time she recalled that scene where Wenda would look at the girls laughing at her, and agreed with Peggy. So children, this was the explanation of the lesson, the 100 Dresses Part 2. I hope that you all have understood it. Now let us move towards the summary of this lesson. Here is the summary. The lesson begins with all the students of room number 13 having a look at the wonderful drawings of Wenda Petronsky. Only then a note is received by Miss Mason from Wenda's father informing that none of his two children will attend the school as they are moving to a big city where no one would judge them for their names. Miss Mason was left shocked and conveyed her disappointment to the class. Maddie was affected by this letter of Wenda's father. She instantly developed an urge to apologize to Wenda. Peggy and Maddie, the two best friends, rushed to Boggins Heights hoping that the family hadn't moved yet. But to their dismay, There was no sign of life in and around the house. Maddie lost her sleep, thinking what a coward she is who couldn't stand against the wrong. That day, she decided that she will never let anyone tease someone like that again. That weekend, Peggy and Maddie decided to write a letter to Vanda that was originally meant to be apologetic, but they ended up writing a friendly note asking her how did she like the new place. Weeks passed by and there was no reply until one day near Christmas, Miss Mason announces that she heard from Vanda. In that letter, Vanda wrote she misses everyone and conveyed her intention of gifting one dress each to Maddie and Peggy. Because she has a whole new lot of 100 dresses lined up in her new house, both of them were happy to receive it and later realized that it was their faces she had drawn along with the dresses. Thus, they both concluded that Vanda did like them. So, now here is the theme of the story. It becomes rather difficult for a poor immigrant like Vanda Petronsky to adjust herself in an environment which is not very conducive to her. However, Vanda rises above all these petty considerations. She still loves her previous school and her classmates. She is generous enough to donate her 100 drawings to her classmates. She has no ill feeling towards Peggy, who used to tease her by putting embarrassing questions regarding her dresses. She allows Peggy to have the drawing of the green dress and Maddie the blue one. However, the damage has been done. In her letter to Miss Mason, Vanda's father clearly mentioned how he is forced to move out of the place and get his children admitted to a new school. The message is very clear in this lesson that any kind of discrimination does torture those who suffer it silently. So, children, I hope that you all have also understood that you should never discriminate anyone for their names, for their dress, for their eating habit, for their color, or for their look. You should always praise and appreciate everyone and accept everyone same. Thank you.